Cost of living in the Philippines. Hello and welcome to the Philippines. I get a lot of comments about cost of living here versus other places in Southeast Asia primarily, sometimes Central America, Mexico. And we're going to look at some data. I'm going to talk about my own experience and other observations. Lots of friends have varying cost of living experiences as well. So let's get into some of the details. This comes from Digital Nomad site. I believe there's several sites that try to track cost of living across the world and even Southeast Asia. You can key in on Southeast Asia countries. It really depends upon your lifestyle, depends upon where you're living, and where are they getting this information. But anyway, just let's go through this, because I have people always telling me, oh, it's cheaper in Vietnam, it's cheaper here. Well, it depends on where you're living in Vietnam, depends on what your lifestyle in Vietnam or Thailand or Cambodia. Anyway, they list Phnom Penh in Cambodia, a low of $800 a month. Monthly cost is one person, one bedroom apartment. High of $1,160. Da Nang, Vietnam. You've got Da Nang was big in the Vietnam War, and they've got a little bit of a expat community there. 800, 1,260 for a high. And there again, you could go lower than that. You can go higher than that. Hanoi, Vietnam. 810 to 1290. You know, I've been told by Vietnamese when I was in Vietnam, don't go to Hanoi. The traffic is just terrible. You've got pollution and scammers and pickpockets. Anyway, Davao, number 4, Davao, Philippines, 860 and 1250 for a high. Cebu, Philippines, 1,040 to 1,350. Now I know some of you will tell me I'm paying less than that in Cebu, and I know it's possible. There are lots of choices. You can get a condo for 300 or less here. It's not going to have the most best furnishings, but you can find that very very livable. Jakarta, Indonesia, 970 to 1510. Ho Chi Minh, Saigon, Vietnam, 970. I spent a little time there. Manila, Philippines, 1,110 to 1,430. There again, depends on what part of Manila you're. That's a huge metropolitan area. Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, 1,000 to 1,500, a little higher than that. Next, Colombo, Sri Lanka, 860 to 1,780. Chiang Mai, Thailand. That's where I was going to move initially back in 2014. And then I decided the language would be an issue. 900 to 1830. Bangkok, Thailand, 1210 to 1790. Pattaya, I've got friends that go there regularly. 1,110 to 2,000. Taipei, Taiwan, 1,420 to 2,530. Osaka, Japan, 1,350, 2,700. So you have choices. These are numbers, and every time I look at data like this, I wonder, where are they getting their data? How accurate is it to the average person? A low-income person can live for less than these types of numbers. High-income person is going to live for much more than what's listed here. These are in U.S. dollars. There are a number of other sources do similar things, and their listing of places is different than this listing. Their information is coming often from their subscribers. And who is not filling out those types of forms? Usually the guys on the tight budget probably are not going on those sites and filling out those surveys. Some of the people that are living at the very top probably are not going and filling out those surveys. They find no need to do such a thing. They can afford to live however they want. I've been doing cost of living videos. I've been here in Cebu City, Cebu, the Philippines, since 2015. Started doing YouTube videos about 2016, so almost 10 years, a little over 9 years. Anyway, for the rest of this video, come along with me on this walk. I'm up near IT Park. That is Cebu Exchange, big, huge commercial building, and I've done videos there. Properties, commercial office spaces for sale and lease. Across the street is IT Park, a city within a city. Back in the old days, it was an airport. Now it is a huge Ayala-owned, developed, a lot of commercial buildings, call centers, restaurants, Ayala Mall in there, banks, and yeah, you can. I know guys that just live there, hardly ever go out of that area. Life of a dog. Life of a dog. You know, a lot of these dogs, they're not aggressive. What I found over the years, and I'm a animal person. I like animals, and on a number of occasions I have approached a dog that looks friendly, and they're not friendly. They're not aggressive, but they're not friendly. If you throw them some food, they'll be happy, but they don't want you coming near them. They might get a little aggressive, bark, back away from you, come at you. So stay away from animals. Animal bites are the biggest thing they treat in the hospitals here in many parts of the Philippines, I've been told. Rabies and that type of thing. Yeah, I've done over the years, every year. Hello.
Thank you.
Over the years, probably on average 3 times a year, I would put up a cost of living video, go over specifics of my cost of living. In the first 2-3 years, almost every month was under $1,000, and I kept very good track of that. The first 2 months were high because I was moving in. I was filling my cupboards with food, so I had a lot of food expenses. I was buying pots and pans, cookware, a little bit of furnishings for my furnished apartment. You know, fully furnished means different things to different people. To some it means a mattress on the floor, means a rice cooker, very small television, maybe, very small table and a chair, maybe. So fully furnished means lots of different things to different people. But I had read a lot. I had ordered books about the Philippines. I had watched a lot of videos about the Philippines. There was about 3 vloggers back then, and I followed, and I had a pretty good idea. I thought I could live on a pretty small amount. My rent, I thought, would be right around 10,000 pesos. In the end, after I looked at 6 or 7 different places, I picked one, and I've got a video of that up. Came out to, I think, about 13,000. And back then, that cost more than it does now, because the exchange rate in the Philippines was 48.5 pesos to the US dollar. Now it's about 58, almost 59. And so 10 pesos more per dollar. That adds up. The bad part of that is that inflation also goes up and eats most of that away. But I've lived in 6 different condominiums, different parts of the city, and I've chose to live in. I've got a little bit nicer place now. One of the reasons I moved was because of noise. Second place I lived overlooked IT Park. There was a lot of noise. They were building new restaurants and big outdoor food market type place, making a lot of noise, trying to attract people, and so that's very common there. 2 adults with a kid in the middle, one or two kids in the middle. Once you get just barely outside the major part of the city, it might be 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. I've even seen 7 people on one motorbike squished in between each other. So my cost of living, my first probably 3 years, most months stayed under or right pretty close to $1,000 US a month. my rent became more. I moved to a little nicer place, cost me a little bit more. My second place was $15,000 versus $13,000, and stayed there a couple of years, pretty close to a couple of years. And my next place was a one-bedroom Persimmon condos. Like that was, I believe it was 20,000 pesos a month. And then I went back to, I dropped down a little less than that, went over to Bamboo Bay to a studio with a big garden unit. And then I went to Queensland Manor, 40 square meters, over 400 square feet. Nice balcony, but the noise, there again, the noise after a year, moved from there. And I now pay $25,000 a month. The exchange rate helps a lot. Before the pandemic, it was going for $35,000. They rented to a Japanese guy for $35,000. They dropped it down because of the pandemic and millions of people leaving the Philippines. And so with utilities, it's costing me right around $600 US a month, with the exchange rate being about 57 is what I would add it up to, even though it's better than that now. And food, when I was single, food for one cost me a lot less. I did most of my cooking and eating in, but I spent about $250 for groceries every month, and I spent $50 eating out every month. And still, now that I am married, knew my girlfriend for 6 years. We got married about 3 months ago. And of course, you're buying food for two people. We don't go out very often. We prefer eating what we prefer eating at home. But electric, you got electric. Immigration doesn't cost that much, in my opinion. There's a lot of things that don't cost that much. Electric costs me, averages, it goes up and down, depends on how hot it is, how often I'm home, but about averages about $100 a month. 5, 6, 7,000 pesos, somewhere in there. I've really, everybody sees my camera. On cooler months, I've even had it down around, I think, 3,500 for a one bedroom, which really surprised me. So it just depends on the weather. So there's food, there's immigration isn't that much by the month, and it's easy extending tourists. I've had a work visa for some time. That was good for 3 years, and that condominium there was marketed as a work condominium, business condominium. You can live there and or have an office there. And did video there when it was under construction. They gave me a hard hat, took me up to the rooftop. They've got a rooftop restaurant and bar up there. I got to get in there soon and do another video, but they're all sold out. I asked them a while back, do you have any units I can use? They're all sold, sir, sorry. Years ago, I did a video called, how much does a girlfriend cost? Got a lot of views, a lot of comments, and I finally took it down. I had a couple of Filipinos tell me that I was just very factual. I wasn't derogatory. More people see my camera. Wasn't derogatory at all. I was just trying to be very realistic. But a couple Filipinos told me that it was offensive to them, so I later did a video. Maybe I'll put a link to that at the end of this video about friends, girlfriends, and how much do they cost you. So I kind of did a little more diplomatic approach to that same topic. But yeah, if you're going to, it depends on your lifestyle. You need to know what your budget is. You need to control your money. There are so many needs here. It's easy to, if you give away control of your money, you start trying to save the world with your money. And I know some people who've done that. And some have come here and they've sold their house, their boat, their car, and their motorbike, and back in the States or wherever, and they come here think they're rich, build a girlfriend, the family, a house, and they run out of money before they have any kind of pension coming in. Then they're asking, where can I get a job? I need money. So understand that you need to know what you can afford. Even I had an experience early on, the first year here. My pension did not arrive. 1 week, after second week, I called Social Security and they said, "Oh, sir, we had because you did not retire when you told us you were going to retire, and we based your payments on that. We have overpaid you. Therefore, we sent you a letter saying that we're not going to pay you for 6 months." Until we even this out, and we sent you a letter. You could have just taken lower payments every month for X number of months, a couple of years maybe. But they said you didn't return the letter, so we cut off your payment for 6 months. And they said you can go to Manila to the U.S. Embassy and fill out a form. It might take a couple months to reinstate your some lower payments. I thought. I can survive 6 months without any money coming in. I didn't come here broke, and I don't suggest that you do either. But keep that in mind. Do you have money in the bank? Do you have savings for emergencies? Where your money stops, where you've got a medical emergency, dental, where you've got a family emergency, you've got to fly back and help somebody else out. Think about that. You should have a plan A, B, and C. If you find the Philippines, you get in trouble. If you get blackmailed or get in trouble for some reason, you find you have to leave the Philippines or any other country, you have a backup plan. You have money to carry out that backup plan. I had set aside budgeted $100 a month for travel once a month. In the end, it didn't work out that way. About every 3 or 4 months, I would spend more and stay gone, take a little bit longer trip. So yeah, plans, life happens while you're planning. You meet people, you do things that you hadn't put in your plans. So be flexible, but stay in control of your money. You can live on less than $1,000 US a month until there is an emergency that comes up, and then you've got to spend that extra money. So yeah, think it through. What do you spend? What are you spending now? Those of you who have stayed here, lived here for a number of months, for years. And I got guys from the provinces saying, hey, they own their house, they built it, they paid for it, they don't have hardly any expenses, they've got a family, they're taken care of, and their expenses are well under $1,000 a month. Anyway, let me know in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video. Safe travels all.